Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the special meeting of the City Council for budget workshops to order. The time is 6:02. And would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If everybody could just bear with me, our city council clerk is presenting an award at a student benefit, so I'm a little lost right now. I will conduct the roll call. Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite.
Melly Garthwaite at large, present.
Councilman Peter Rivera.
Peter Rivera, Councilman at Large, present.
Councilman Sean Ronan.
Here.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan is absent. Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella.
Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella, 2nd District, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Acbarelli.
Councilwoman Sarah Acbarelli, 3rd District, present.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan is absent. Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan, 6th District, present.
Councilman David Beaton.
Councilman David Beaton, 9th District, present.
Councilman Ron Quagliani.
Ron Quagliani, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Christopher Vargo, 8th District, present.
Chairman?
Kathy's on her
Well,
way.
you didn't say 7, that's why.
Okay. Okay, this time I will read the notice of special meeting. Notice is hereby given that in accordance with Rule 4.5 of the Rules of Procedure of the City Council, Chairman Christopher Vargo Jr. and Finance Committee Chairwoman Sarah Acbarelli have called a joint special meeting of the West Haven City Council and the City Council Finance Committee to be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 19th, 2026, and continuing to 6 p.m. on May 20th, 21st, 27th, and 28th, 2026, in the City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, 355 Main Street, West Haven, Connecticut. The purpose of this special meeting is as follows: workshop with municipal departments regarding their recommended FY27 budget and 5-year capital plan. Okay, at this time at 6:04, I will kick the meeting over to Finance Committee Chair Sarah Acbarelli.
Thank you so much, Chairman. The time is now 6:04 and our special meeting regarding the budget has begun. First up, I'm going to have Dave, our finance director, come up and talk about the mill rate.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Just a few comments on the budget. I think you can be proud of the administration and the entire team of department heads for the work that's been put into this. Involved an initial submission, and I know you've looked through a lot of paperwork that I've sent you over the last few days, and then a challenge by the mayor to, it being a tough year, as we've been describing from this podium several times, to really trim where we can without messing up with our city services. And I believe that the budget does provide that. From a mill rate perspective, as the mayor's mentioned before, our mill rate, the city mill rate, is unchanged in this budget from the current year. This was obviously a goal that we had in mind, despite the challenges of the year. And there are some modest increases that we have gotten in from the fire departments, and just as a note, West Shore has not had their vote yet. The capital budget represents, again, a very vigorous review. Mayor is very focused on repairing our city streets, sidewalks, curbs, etc., and wherever she could find a way to challenge some of the capital that was presented and to keep sort of a total that we felt was manageable as a city, so far as our future debt. We moved that into paving streets and mostly paving streets. So with that, I don't know if you have anything else you want from me at this time. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. The value of 1 mil is $4,555,000. So if you did the math, if you wanted a tenth of a mil would be $455,000. I know you guys are all thinking about that. So look forward to the next weeks.
Thank you. Can you just repeat that one more time? I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Thank
Which
you.
one?
For the mill.
1 mil, and you can find this on page 23, is worth $4,557,000.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
All right, very good. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Everyone's good? We need you here. All right, we have Mr. Lewis with the city clerk's office.
Madam Chair, just to let everybody on the council know, that's page 40.
Thank you so much.
Sorry about that, guys. Good evening. John Lewis, City Clerk, City of West Haven. And read a little statement into the record here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council people. Thanks for all your giving, your time, your efforts to make our city function in a positive manner and helping keeping us fiscally accountable. I know in the next coming days, you'll have a lot of your work cut out for you. So I applaud you on what's about to happen here. And I know you'll do the right thing. So the city clerk's office will share with you some of the accomplishments for this year, starting with our vitals. We've been correcting and updating our vital book indexes and scanning all birth, death, and marriage certificates for research and printing. We have finished with the 2000s, and we're working backwards, where we're just finishing up the 1990s to put them all online so that anyone who needs them, you can go backwards. You can go to the actual paper, which we have, but also if they're online, they're easier to get a hold of. We're posting all up and coming meetings, agendas, minutes, and all boards and commissions. And you've probably experienced, some of you may be on boards and commissions, and you've gotten calls recently for agendas and minutes, because we want to keep all records as accurate as possible. We also scan all agendas, minutes, cancellations into IQS for references. Public vital records are requested through the city website, or the public comes into the office to get their records. The same process applies to deaths, burials, cremation certificates, and funeral homes. Our vitals department also does the scheduling for all city hall weddings, and we issue licenses for off-site weddings. For all of 2025 through April of 2026, we have processed approximately 900 weddings in the last year and a half, in a sense. Another function of our office is issuing of fishing and hunting licenses. And of course, dog licenses are coming up next month. So get your dog licensed if you have one. And we expect to license around 1,100, probably a little bit more than 1,100 dogs over the next, dog licenses month is June. So, and every additional month will be $1 extra. So a lot of people get in June and try to get their dogs licensed within that time period. I mean, if you're kenneling your dog or something like that, you got to have a license. So they won't allow it any other way. The clerk's office has been diligently recreating land record books. Within the last 16 months, we have recreated over 600 books dating back to the early 1800s. Some of these books are old, and to preserve them, we have to recreate them. Along with recreating these books, we have to continue creating new land records. So the old ones have to be remade and preserved, and then the new ones have to be created. So anything that you sell a property or buy a property, it goes on the land record, we create a new book. So it's a constant thing for all new sales and transfers that are taking place. We were able to acquire a new map printer, which we are super excited about, and we're able to scan maps so that surveyors and companies residents can also, and businesses can come in and get a copy of their land, and if they had it surveyed, we'd have that map on file here if it was placed with us. It's a great addition to our ability to serve the public. Some of the goals for the coming year will be to recreate our armed services documents on file, DD 214s and that sort of thing, because a lot of those records are in very bad condition. We also plan to have the ability to accept credit cards and debit cards with a point and pay system that should be implemented this year. We haven't been able to do that in the past, so we're looking forward to that. We also pride ourselves on customer service, and we'll continue to serve the public to the best of our abilities. Just a note, we are also probably the first department to have one of our employees on Employee of the Month, as someone's called in and let the mayor know that they're doing a great job. So I got the best team, I believe, in City Hall. I've got Sharon here and Sharon Recchi and Lori Moran, who have they could probably leave City Hall and go work at a title company and walk right in and make boatloads of money. But they're interested in serving the public at this point in time, and we're glad to have them. So thank you, and any questions I can answer, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I
welcome.
just had a quick question
Sure.
about the office equipment repairs. The projected expenses for FY26 was $200, and the department request is $1,000. Why are we asking for $800 more? Are we getting new equipment?
Well, we have some of our equipment. We hadn't. Well, it's $1,000 every year, pretty much.
Okay.
And it just depends on if something goes bad in the office. It's probably going to cost.
So it's there if you need it.
Yeah, it's there if I need it. And if you look at our budget, I mean, we've been able to knock down about 10% of our budget. So, which the mayor requested, and we happily complied. I mean, some things we may not be able to do as efficiently as we've been able to do in the past, but we understand the needs of having a balanced budget. So we're going to do our part.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy.
Any questions for Mr. Lewis? Councilman Beaton?
John, how are you?
Good
And
evening,
I
Mr.
echo your staff is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful people.
Thank you.
Wonderful to work
Awesome.
with, for sure.
Elaine got a little sick, so she couldn't be here, and Ursula
I
couldn't.
have a question about contractual services. What does that entail? You're down 40% on that line item.
Okay, so we have IQ, and this is a tough one because IQS is the vehicle we use to place land records on the record. So if you sell or buy a property, it has to go through IQS, and they charge us monthly for their services. So every night you'll see Lori zipping files, and they're trying to take out all the little dots and the commas and extra stuff that's there, so we can keep the cost down. So we diligently look at that, but because of sales that have taken place in the last couple of years, the last year or so, I mean, it hasn't really been a lot. There's not a lot of inventory out there. People quit claiming properties, that sort of thing. So it's not so much happening as it was, but going forward, it's going to pick up at some point. I mean, these things are peaks and valleys, but it's going to pick up, and we may be short. But again, we have to look out for the residents, and you are in my mill rate that's taking place, so we do what we can do. Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
the same goes for your training and education is down 90%. Is there a reason for that?
Well, I think some of the stuff might not have been booked yet.
Okay.
Because we went to the convention recently, and going forward, I just found out where I need to go to start doing some of the training that has to do with certification. Okay. So it takes about 2.5 years to even get certified. So this December, next May or April, it's just gonna pick up. So and it's a day, and it's all day. Right. So you'll see some changes there. Perfect. But again, some of this stuff hasn't been booked yet.
That makes sense. Yep.
To the book. So what we have here, you may not have the most current what we have there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions? Chairman Vargo?
Thank you. Mr. Lewis, thank you.
Thank you.
I see that, a lot
Sure.
of your reductions, and I appreciate them, that, maybe we're not going to work as fast as that you have in the last 2 years to rebinder the books and get those done. But, recognizing that the taxpayers need to have a little bit of a break to slow that down, I appreciate that. But I do want to jump back into what Councilman Beaton was talking about.
Okay.
Because IQS, as far as I understand, is not a known expense. It's dependent upon the volume of work that the outside puts in. So sales, refis, things like that. Is it a flat monthly fee, or is it a per page, or how does that work?
It depends on what happens. So it's sales may pick up next month. You know what I mean? Or it's not written in stone. It's not a per monthly. We don't know what to expect. So
Do we lock into a rate of, like, is it per page, or can you elaborate of how we get to
yes,
what the mechanism?
we and actually our costs went up because we had been I don't know, what was it, like 65 cents a page or something like that, or 65%. Right, and it's 95 cents a page now, so it's a little more. It's a lot more expensive. So that's why we wanted to keep it higher, but we understand. I mean, we all have to do what we can do. So,
But we do get some income from them.
yes, we
correct?
do. Uh-huh.
So it
Absolutely.
offsets that.
Yes.
And what's the income that we generate from that?
A month. Yeah, about $1,200 a month.
$1,200.
I can get that information for you. That's not a problem.
Okay. And to go to your income items,
Mm-hmm.
I see that your office is estimating a reduction in marriage licenses and recorded instruments. It's a reduction from the 3-year average, but it's a reduction from the last year. Is there something that you're seeing that the marriages are starting to trickle down for some reason, or people aren't recording mortgages, or whatever else that gets recorded? Are you starting to see this as a trend?
Well, the mayor really has has asked us to do a diligent job at getting the word out. With the things we've changed was you have to make an appointment now for a marriage. You have to. We call you the day before to make sure you're coming. We ask for your information. We're really trying to be diligent at making sure that all T's are crossed and I's are dotted before a marriage happens. And we place signs up because, I believe there was possibly there's a possibility of fraud in this country, marriage fraud. So we put signs on the wall. If you come down our office, you'll see it. Marriage fraud is illegal. All right. So I think some people see that and they'll either hit each other or tap each other, So it's something we follow the law, and I can't deny someone unless I feel really uncomfortable. What I can do is slow down the process. And we've also made it by appointment. So we do pretty much a wedding an hour. And if they get filled, like tomorrow, I have one wedding scheduled. And they tend to be real at that point. So I'm not saying the others are not. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
So we just can't count on the volume that we used to have.
No, I mean, I believe it was at one point it was around 19 weddings a day or somewhere around there, which, 19, 20. And I mean, the staff, we had to go to appointment because we have so many other things. I've got elections in the office. I've got land records that have to be filed, and I've got marriage, birth, death. I have copies of everything that goes on in this office because we are the keeper of the records, and we can't focus the day on marriages.
And what about the recording instruments? Are you seeing that that's starting to trend downward, and that's why you lessened you reduced the income item?
Yeah, so it may spike up, but again, the average has been reduced, but prices come down. Interest rates go up. I mean, if interest rates come down, look, I mean, some of us have 2% mortgages. You know what I mean? It's just the reality of things. And if you're not going to give up a 2% for 9%, unless you're an investor, and a lot less inventory. There's not much out there.
Thank you.
But it could pick up. We just never know.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? Councilman Ronan?
Yes, Counsel. Good evening, Councilman
Hello,
Roman.
Mr. Lewis.
How are you?
Your staff is awesome. City Clerk's
Yes,
office
they are.
they do a great job down there.
Thank you very
Very
much.
accommodating.
We appreciate it.
So election day expenses come out of your office.
That is correct.
What does that entail? Ballots?
We have an order form, ballots. We have to order ballots we have a whole new thing going on with Total Vote. We have new computers that the Registrar of Voters has, but everything comes through our office, and they actually do the day-to-day, but our office is responsible for the absentee ballots, the regular ballots, all the signage that goes out. Now you have to have fire retardant things in the boxes, all over the city here. So if somebody was to place something in a box, a ballot box, it'll retard the fire. So it's quite a bit.
And I'm not going to sandbag you with the budget, but so I'll read you the numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fiscal year 22 is 15.5.
Okay.
Fiscal year 23 is 17.7. Fiscal year 24 is 19.9.
Yes.
And fiscal year 25 is 14.7. So we'll say 15,000.
Yes.
So and that's just a general election, correct?
Yeah,
there weren't any primaries.
No, we did not have it because that was a city election.
Right. Okay.
So we did not have. No, there was no primary.
There was no
There was no primary. But
So-
usually, what I have to account for is the possibility of a town committee election,
Understood.
a presidential April election, presidential preference election, an August election, and I believe the year before that we had 5. I want to say 5 elections.
So is it fair to say each election would then be about approximately $10,000, right, a year?
Each election,
Yeah.
possibly, yeah.
Up around,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, about that,
7,500 to
yeah.
10,000. That was just my bottom line question, John.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you for
I'm sorry,
explaining.
yeah.
But I appreciate
I
that.
want to make sure I answer.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Councilman Tucker?
Good evening. I'm well. How are you?
Thank you. Let me get your papers. We're having a whole lot going on over here in this corner. with the new election, with the new law that just went into effect, where anybody can have an absentee ballot.
Yes.
Do you anticipate that cost being felt by your department? And if so, is there a plan for that?
Well, yes. We can possibly have them. We have 56,000 residents, and I'll say about half of that is eligible to vote. So maybe 26,000 people, and I believe for the presidential in 24, that was probably the largest outpouring. Those numbers are going to be the same. The question is going to be, where's it going to come from? Is it going to be absentee ballots, or is it going to be early voting ballots? That makes sense. The numbers are going to almost be the same, or not the same. They're going to be comparable because you have 26. So I try to plan for 26,000 if possible, and any new voters that may pop up. But it's all according to where people feel comfortable. Some people feel comfortable with the early voting, which they can come into City Hall for 14 days, or the absentee ballots. They can come in the office and get the absentee ballots. I mean, my biggest issue right now is because the early voting stops before the election, 2 days before, basically, everybody's running in to get an absentee ballot on a day before the election, which makes it tough. But so manpower is our biggest issue. If I had some part-timers just for that day, that'd be great.
Yeah. So you don't really foresee there being an increase in the number of people that request absentee ballots as opposed to voting.
There could be an increase, but a lot of people feel more comfortable, I want to say, either going to the poll or an absentee ballot.
Gotcha.
That's been my experience.
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, pretty much. Uh-huh.
You're very welcome. Councilman Donovan?
Thank you, Chairwoman. John, how are you this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I see here we have a part-time worker.
Yes.
they start yet?
Okay, so that's an accounting thing for the finance department. It's in there, but it's not being taken. So it's being taken out of the top line.
Yeah, no, because I see in the budget here, it's, since, the actual expenses of April, there's nothing, so I didn't know if they.
So
started.
listen to what I'm saying.
Yep.
Everything's coming out of regular budget right now. So the regular budget will be depleted, and then I assume they'll start taking from the part time. It just hasn't been booked yet. It's not being, that part time is not being expended as part time. If that makes sense. It's an accounting.
We have,
I'm sorry. Okay. No, but it hasn't been
if
touched.
you're confused, how do you
So-
think I feel?
All right, I've discussed this with Michael Gormany, and I've also discussed this with I believe maybe Lisa, but
I'm okay with it. I just
that
didn't
part
know
I
if
can't
we-
control.
I didn't know if we started, if the part-time
yeah.
was here.
Yeah, it's Mrs. Riley.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's been working all year. You make, does it make sense? Yes, yeah. So the regular wages line would end up being depleted, and it'll just have to go to part time. After that. Does that make sense? It just. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. But I have discussed this with them, so I mean, not a problem. Not
Okay,
a
just
problem.
just for a second, because not everybody's on the record. I just want to make sure that for the record and
Right.
for the recording is clear. John, you do have a part-time employee. That's Mrs. Riley.
That is correct.
That it was for a period of time incorrectly. Her salary is taken out of the regular wages. There will be adjustments. Mr. Taylor was unaware. His predecessor may or may not have been aware, but it will be corrected. But you do have a part-time employee, and you are going to be using that line item, right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
So if you went to the end of the year, that regular wages line would disappear, and it would be at zero, and you would just start, if it didn't change, you would just start tapping the part-time wage. But we put it in there to make the distinction between part-time and full-time.
Yeah, no, listen, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate that.
And the other thing, you want to answer that?
I wasn't aware of this, and I made a note to go check. And the reason she's being charged the full-time wage is she's set up to be charged the full-time wage in ADP. If she's supposed to be in part-time, I want to get that fixed, okay? And then we'll be hitting the right account. Yeah, and okay. Yeah, it wasn't to. Great question. I mean,
No, I just seen. And the other thing is, we are still doing archiving services, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. No, it just shows here is nothing as of April. I just didn't know if that was maybe a misprint or something like that.
Yeah, no.
Actuality of April it's showing zero.
No. We're down to almost down to book one
Oh, good.
for that. But I've got grantor grantee books. But we
Yeah, no.
we use.
I know
it.
you guys are doing a job. It's just
She
paper-wise,
and it's
showing
Adkins,
nothing.
and she was in here today. So yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, if you look at the budget book, you can see that 26 was budgeted, regular wages at 236. We're projecting 261, which is right in line with taking the part-time wages out of that. So it's there. She's being paid out of the regular wages. We'll just move that for next year.
Thank you. And the again, the archiving services, we are doing it. Just we haven't showed it on as of April expense.
That's a subscription. They bill us twice a year, so you'll see
Gotcha.
at the end of the year we'll
Perfect.
fill that line item.
All right. Thank you very much. All set. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
You're very welcome. I'm going to go to Councilman Quagliani, and then I'll go back to you, Councilwoman.
I just have 30 seconds. So, hi, John. Listen,
Hey, how you doing, Ron?
just two things. One, I want to just praise you on you and your staff. Right, you're always solid. Never have a complaint. I appreciate you. You have some tenure in your office that is very, very valuable.
It is.
You're able to provide the service that you're providing, and you're still knocking 10% off of your budget for next year. So that's always good to see when I'm sitting at this table. So continue the service at a lesser cost in a time where everything else is going up. So I appreciate that. My only comment is, and you referred to it, and I'll probably ask everybody that collects cash that comes in front of the podium, but we need to migrate to a cashless system. So, and I know that's in the works at some point. I'm interested to hear more of that, maybe when Mr. Taylor or somebody else comes forward at another meeting. But you know, the days of collecting cash really need to be sunsetted. So that's my only comment.
Yeah, we've already been set up with point and pay. I believe because we're trying to get each terminal, because they don't want us up at the counter, everybody on the same computer at the counter. So if there's some way to do this, which I believe Mr. Jermaine has said that it's possible, where you can set it up at each person's desk, it's going to make it smooth. And he said that they can do it. So as soon as that gets done, I think we're on our way. I mean, we'll still probably collect some cash because some people don't believe in other things. But we do credit card. Well, we do cash and checks now. So yeah, most land records are checks. It's most stuff.
Questions? Councilman Tucker?
Yeah, so this question is for, I guess, you guys. Does there need to be a transfer complete to move the funds from the regular to the part-time budget? Because I get it that it's an accounting error, but it's in the wrong space, and so just to keep the record clean.
Can you allow me to get back to you on that?
Sure.
I want to check the payroll record.
Okay.
Because if she's working more than 19 hours a week, then she's full-time. If she's working 19 or less, then she's part-time. And we just need to get the records to show the right thing. Okay. And we'll get the budget in the right place. So I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Just to piggyback on that, she is part-time. She's 19 hours a week. So there's no question there. Yeah, and
you might just want to park right there.
Not really. I would leave the budget alone then, because I'll get her put there and we'll get it fixed. Okay? It's just a matter of changing some codes in ADP. You had some questions, if you don't mind, John. The questions on the revenue. The legal instrument fees, you might just want to remember the 3-year average includes just after COVID, when we had a huge influx, of out-of-state people buying West Haven properties. And you might also remember that our grand list had a huge increase, and that was driven by those people. During that period of time, interest rates were low. We saw a huge spike in that revenue line. We're back to normal again. So, Lori gave you that answer.
You still have the floor.
I think I said that earlier, but
I just have to follow up.
I guess.
Hang on one
This
second.
isn't sitting
All
well.
right, hold on, everybody. Hold on.
I guess the question I'm asking is that we're paying somebody out of the wrong bucket of money, right? And so that you're drawing down from the regular salaries, right?
Yeah. So
And that's reflected here.
it's reflected if you look at your adopted budget and your projected expenses, they pretty much add up with exactly what they're supposed to be. But at the end of the year, we will do, finance puts together their transfers. If we go into
That's what
ADP
I'm
and it's
asking
correct,
about.
yes, we will rectify it with you guys in an omnibus transfer.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
For. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions? Chairman Varga? Oh, you're all set? Anyone else? Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Lewis. We really appreciate.
thank you, Council. Good luck to you in the next couple of weeks, and look forward to working with all
Thank
of
you
you.
so much. I
Have a good night.
appreciate it.
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I know that Attorney Cassini has another commitment with his family, so if we could get him in and out.
Absolutely. Attorney Cassini, you're up.
That's page 34 for the city council members.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready, Attorney Cassini.
Thank you
Thank you.
for the accommodation as well. Proposed budget that came in. I just want to go through a little bit of what we do. I know I see you all fairly frequently, but I don't know how often you interact with anybody else in my department. We have 4 attorneys, myself, Mr. Dorsey, who handles civil litigation, mostly tax assessment appeals, and also lends support to this body. Michael Agello is an assistant corporation counsel who handles some litigation with regard to property and foreclosure. Does a lot of contracting for all the departments. And then Mr. Michael Taylor, who does litigation, does appeals for us, handles board of planning and zoning, building, fair rent commission mostly. But a change that I've instituted since I started, which was February of this year, is that each of the departments in the city, there are 27 departments, have been assigned to one of us, myself, taking many of them, like the mayor's office and this body, although Attorney Dorsey will be working with you also going forward, but lending support to each and every one of them, including the library, whom I met with last week, who told me that in the past she wasn't sure if she could lean on our department for anything. So now she knows she certainly can and should. We have dedicated people that attend meetings regularly, of course, of this body, but also myself of the Charter Review Commission that's happening during this budget process. Aren't we all lucky for that? Monthly, at least, many of the other boards and commissions have meetings, and they often require preparation from our department and attendance. And then certainly, whichever of those departments should lead into action before this body, the attorney that's assigned to those departments is tasked with working with those departments to make sure that not only does the communication that comes to this body have the proper documentation, but that it's worded in a way that A, is clear, and B, can effectuate the change that the department or that the executive is looking for. So those are some things that are a little bit new. The majority of the department spends time putting out fires, so to speak. We're not the fire department necessarily, but it's trying to be responsive to things that come up, questions that are asked that need answers in short order. But another thing that I'm trying to do is be more prospective in the time that we spend to get out ahead of things that have traditionally or historically been problems that occur time and again. So we are working to bear some of the load of what might be risk management to see how we can avoid things like 13A 149 lawsuits, people who slip and fall and get injured on city property. You may not know this, the city of West Haven has roughly 100 miles of roads that are city. Of course, there's state and federal obligations on some roads as well, but those are separate. And whether or not the city owns property, the city bears a responsibility in exchange for allowing everyone to pass over. Traditionally in Connecticut, the law is that abutting landowners own the property right up until the middle of the road, and then as soon as you cross the halfway line, it becomes the property of the people across the street. Well, we have to have sidewalks, and we need to have roads for travel, so the city bears responsibility for the municipal liability of anything that should happen to pedestrians that are on those roads. And in the past, each and every one of those lawsuits, I believe, has been dealt with by outside counsel. But another thing that I've undertaken is to file appearances from my office so that we can see which of them can be dealt with before they have to go to outside counsel. We, of course, do have a separate budget. We have insurance that covers a lot of that. But if and when those people are taxed beyond what is already budgeted, then it dips into our reserves. And I don't want to do that if it's something that I can deal with or that one of my attorneys can deal with simply by addressing it in what we call motion practice, which is to say we don't have to actually try a case. We can file motions that will either completely dismiss the case. We've recently had 2 withdrawals of cases where the plaintiffs admitted that they couldn't go forward, or at the very least to set things up so that if we do end up settling a case, which sometimes often is a perfectly fine result, that we've tried every other opportunity first to either relieve ourselves of the liability or to make sure that the plaintiff understands that we don't have any problem going to trial, and so the settlement has to be reasonable. We have now 38 active cases that my office has appearances in. We manage 3 different attorneys, offices, firms that handle outside counsel, and review those bills with keen and scrutinizing eyes to make sure that obviously they're being paid for their time properly, but that everything is accounted for and that it's work that we've asked for, not work that they've decided that we need. And so I do have a very active mind in figuring out when and where we're able to not only save money, but preclude the city from obligating itself with that money at all. One of the things that you will see that's different this year from last year is we were carrying subscription services in my office for legal research, for bounded series of new statutes, something that we call the practice book that comes out every year, which is how the attorneys, the rules of engagement in court. But those are also available online now in many ways free. So, I mean, you can Google some things, but the practice book is available in a searchable PDF, for instance, for free. So we don't need to continue these subscriptions, and that saved a couple $1,000s right away. So far, nobody has reported that it's impacted their work negatively. They didn't have access to research before that they don't have access to now, and so I don't see that as a need. So I simply took that out of the request. And then, of course, we have 350 or so full-time employees, 100 part-time, maybe another 50 or 60 seasonal as we get into that season. And each and every one of them could potentially open the city up to liability. And so we have to keep an eye on not only risk management, but I know you've heard me many times talk about hiring practices, procurement practices, contracting. And so in not only supporting the 27 departments, but in dealing with any CHRO claims, human rights, or EEOC, the federal CHRO claims, workman's comp. Of course, we, through our insurance company, PMA, we have workers litigation counsel, but I am responsible for keeping an eye on not only the 27 or 28 active Board of Ed workman's comp claims that are ongoing, but maybe another 35 or 40 that are active from the city, some of which stretch back a number of years. And so working with the council there to come up with plans that will either have these folks return to work so that they can fill these other line items that you're talking about this week and next, or figure out what the graceful exit option will be. If they really can't return to work and we don't have an accommodation for them, then I want to have those conversations. And you know, they can be difficult to have, but it's important to have them as soon as possible so that we know an answer. You'll hear from all the other departments, and if any of them is stuck with a line item for a position that they're paying but they can't get any work out of, then that's a drag on everybody else. And so another thing that I've tried to do is take a more proactive approach to that list of comp claims that are out there. They don't all need to be litigated. Sometimes they can just be discussed and we can figure things out in connection with the personnel department. And I'm happy to say that we're coming up with what I think are novel and hopefully successful plans for a number of them so that many of these line item budget positions can be put back to work. We handle, if there should be any 1983 civil rights actions against our police department or in the Board of Ed, well, that would come across my desk as well. And of course, we handle all the contracting, not just for land and land development, but in connection with the tax office. We're reviewing liens and selling liens, and we have an opportunity maybe to foreclose on some properties if that fits a larger plan. And sometimes it does. And so with the advice and counsel of myself or one of the other attorneys, we can put that plan together. We have right now 25 litigated tax assessment appeals that are currently being settled. Attorney Dorsey recently settled a number of them, so those figures will be captured and the books will be set on those. We also support the Fair Rent Commission, and as you've probably heard me say, Fair Rent Commission is very important to me. I think in a town like yours, which is growing rapidly, I've heard people at the state level say they think or maybe hope that West Haven should get to be about 60,000 people by the end of next decade. I don't know where you're going to put them all. But it suggests to me, considering the development and opportunities for development that come, that I think Fair Rent Commission may be very important here going forward. Properties that will be built will have new prices, but it will also bring up the fair market value on other rents, and I suspect that we'll see a lot more applications. Happy to see that we had an appeal against a Fair Rent Commission decision that was recently withdrawn by the landlord that was appealing the decision, and we're working that out. And as I said, we support this body as well on an ongoing basis. And currently, the number one ticket item on my desk, as far as administrative support goes, is that charter review. We have met a number of times. You have seen or will see soon, a draft, if you haven't seen it already, of the report. We have a public meeting coming up on Thursday where we will hear from the public as to what they think about that. And then a week after that will be a final report. And there's outside counsel that's doing a wonderful job helping me with that. But that can be significant hours that we put in each week too. And that's a fair rundown, I think, of all the things that I'm trying to keep my head around and working on. Questions?
Thank you, Attorney Cassini. I just had a question about the paralegal position. That's going to be combined, correct, with those two other positions at the bottom, Administrative Assistant Counsel and Senior City Counsel Administration FOI?
So as it exists now, we have a new woman who started, who is the executive assistant. And right now, the FOI and City Council position is posted as one. I don't think we have a separate paralegal position. That's essentially been closed. I don't believe anybody's going to fill that role.
Thank you. That makes sense. Does anyone have questions for Attorney Cassini? Councilman Donovan?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Couple things. First, right off the bat, I think I've dealt with everybody in your office, and everybody has been not only attentive and getting back to me, but have been very helpful in guiding me with a lot of stuff and dealing with you and making changes for the better. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
My
I'll tell
job
them
a
that.
lot easier. Now, the other question I have: it looks like we got rid of a full-time. Did that full-time job some of that get dumped onto the part-time? Because there's a big jump in pay, and I just want
The work?
Yeah, work-wise.
Yeah, a portion of that workload was, there was a stipend that was out there for a period of time, so some of that work could be taken up. Yeah. And with our new hire, she began, 8 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. The dust is still settling on everything that everybody's going to do. It has included a lot more work that I'm asking of the attorneys. They're asked to do 35 hours a week. They maintain their own practices outside of this, which is completely allowable and expected. But I think since I've taken over, I've asked them to really offer a little bit more. And I think you'll see that I'm hoping that they can get a little bit more compensation for that. But the responsibility that would have maybe fallen on that position is landing on some of the desks of the attorneys as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify why that big of a jump, and my assumption was that full-time that we got rid of, a lot of that work.
Yeah, that work's getting absorbed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's it, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Councilman Beaton?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Thank you for your efforts. Just for clarification purposes, is that legal services item, is that the other outside counsel firm?
Yes.
You're talking about? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Garthwaite?
Hi, Attorney.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay.
Good. I have just a small little question. It has to do with training and education.
Mhm.
Initially, there hasn't been any, and the mayor has recommended 3K for it.
Yes, I'm happy you brought that up because I'm really proud to offer this instead of paying for subscriptions that nobody was making use of. I mean, I guess they could have if they wanted to, but they didn't need to. If you've been in my office, you see we have books everywhere, statutes everywhere. They're not all that updated. That's going to be dedicated, if you see so fit, to reimbursing the attorneys for the ongoing costs. So one, they have continuing legal education obligations that they have to meet. They often take whatever courses they can fit into their schedule or those that are being offered for free because they don't necessarily want to come out of pocket. I see it as an opportunity for maybe Attorney Dorsey to take something specific to taxation and specific to assessments. Fair Rent Commission at the state level is always offering things, and Attorney Taylor might be able to do that. And if those cost money, I would love to be able to repay that. We also have an ongoing community client security fund that attorneys are obligated to pay. It's an annual fee that we have to pay into the state. It's not a tax because they don't call it a tax. And then there's another fee of about $585 per person where we have to pay that is an occupational tax. Simply for the right to be an attorney in the state, we have to pay that to the state. So I'm hoping to capture as many of those costs as I can out of our office as just a thank you for the service that they give, but also a means to steer them in the direction of taking some of those courses that might benefit us rather than them just kind of clicking on things and listening to them while they do other work, because those are the ones that are available for free.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that explanation.
Councilman Tucker?
Good evening. The question I have is about, can you just describe the ethics board expenses, what's covered under that?
Sure. So the ethics board, they're formed and they are charged with meeting, just like any other board or commission. Now they have specific things that may pop up that they have to convene for, but they don't have a lot of ongoing set standard business, certainly not like you all do. And so there's not a lot that we have to carry going forward to cover for them. But one thing that you'll see, it's been, I think, zero, maybe last year was 5,000, and that same number carries forward. So what we've discussed doing, if we were able to continue to get that 5,000, is using some of those things as like I said, being proactive, maybe putting on some type of programming. You may hear or will see soon that there will be a large push towards making sure that everybody understands their obligations in the procurement, the contracting, the hiring practices, but also full expanse of the ethical obligations, not only for elected officials, but also for appointed officials, myself included, in other departments that have appointed officials. And I think that in an effort to try to be proactive about these things, we're looking to find opportunities to put on programming or bring in programming that can help people see the larger picture and understand how what they do in public service connects to everybody else, and how if they are tasked with, let's say you're charged with dealing with city funding, or that you have a certain bit of power that can be wielded one way or another. Well, how to make these decisions. And it seems like it might be an obvious thing, and maybe it is for some of us, but not everybody purposely goes out of their way to break the ethical rules. So maybe setting the stage to let people know what those are and how best to follow them, and then who to contact if something that you see is out of bounds, or what to do about it.
Has that been how it's been spent in the prior years?
I can't speak to what Attorney Dorsey did before I was there. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Tagliatella?
Madam Chair, just for a point of information, I actually have the answer to Councilwoman Tucker's question.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Before I got elected to City Council, I was chair of the Board of Ethics, and I had lobbied for the $5,000, and it is my fault. At the time, the concern was that if the Board of Ethics receives a complaint and they find that there is probable cause and they need to have a hearing, then there is an expense to that hearing. You need to have a stenographer to have a transcription. But the also concern was that what happens if somebody in the Office of Corporation Counsel was the subject of the complaint? Then there would be a conflict of interest, and the board would have to get outside counsel. So I had asked for money to be set aside. That was not, it was, we put it in the Corp Counsel's budget, but everybody understands that it is up to them and up to the chair to spend that money. So it can't be withheld from them if the Corp Counsel's office is subject to the complaint. Thankfully, that hasn't happened, but it was something.
Yeah,
that we
I'm
were
not
thinking
planning
about.
on that. Of course, that can be held aside, but I am planning on putting together something that will be a resource for everyone to look to if they need to do that. And of course, if anybody in my office, myself included, is charged with an ethical violation, then don't come to us to ask questions. But again, I don't want to only be reactive. I want to try to build out more of a unified and cohesive program around the ethics and the ethics board itself. Sure.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate that. Councilman Tagliatella.
How are you?
Good.
Would you be able to elaborate a little on the other professional services?
Sure. We sometimes often require professional services that are not outside counsel. So it could be an accountant or an accounting service. It could be someone to do consulting or put together a survey for land use, or, for instance, we're going to be dealing with an environmental issue soon. Well, the environmental attorney will have one bill, but will also have another bill that's separate from that. Professional services could also be if we needed to, for instance, engage in audit and deal with an audit out of my office. So that wouldn't be legal services, but that would be professional services.
Councilwoman Garthwaite.
Just a quick follow-up to Councilwoman Tagliatella's question. We've got $40,000 in that little line item, and it seems like every single year we don't even get quite close to it. You said that you're planning on a project, I think I heard. Do you think you're going to use all that $40,000?
Do you mean for the professional services?
Yes. Yeah.
If that project hits, if the entire bill comes due in the next fiscal year, yeah, probably.
Can you tell us what the project is, or not yet?
Yeah, I don't mind telling.
I'm being nosy.
No, that's okay. It'll be public soon enough. If it's not, we're engaging everybody that we need to figure out if it's feasible, and if so, what's a time frame on reopening the incinerator. Okay. So that instead of spending money to send waste out to other cities, we can burn our own and let them pay us to do it here.
Yeah, so it's important to keep it as is, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions for Attorney Cassini? Chairman Fargo.
Thank you. Kevin, I have to work closely with you.
Sorry.
Yeah. But honestly, it's actually really great to work with you. You know your stuff.
Thank you.
You're very pointed. You get to the point. I appreciate that. And you definitely know your stuff. So thank you for getting that department in top shape that it is.
Thank you kindly.
The question I have is, every budget I get concerned with the legal services amount, because we track high pretty much every year. Are you seeing that through your efforts you are able to dwindle that down to,
yes,
to within that $200,000 range, and we're comfortable with that?
Short pointed answer, as you say, yes. So far, I myself have gotten to withdrawals of cases, so we don't need outside counsel for those. I'm dealing with those. But also, as I said, I've got appearances in 38 cases, and so even if those do involve outside counsel, they don't need to do everything on those. Also, the simple minute-by-minute tracking, I don't know if you all know how attorneys keep track of time, but it's in tenths of hours, in 6-minute increments, right? So in the past, I suspect, that if you don't have an appearance in the case, then you don't get direct information from the court. You have to go to the attorney, right? At that point, I'm the client, and the attorney, the private attorney and outside counsel, is the one who has all the access to the information. So to get that, I've got to call them, and they've got to type it up, or they've got to dictate it to somebody who types it up, and then that person has to send it to me, right? And then tick, 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 right? You see how that goes. So in simply having direct access to now the cases in the courts, I don't need to ask them for anything like that. I can, in fact, I do look at least once a day, many times a day, to see all the cases that we have. If something has come from the court, I can just find that out. Now, because I have an appearance in the case, the court will send to me directly everything that they send to everybody else, including outside counsel. And then outside counsel and I have discussions on, well, we should file this motion or that. But I can do that because now I'm a party to the case. I have an access point where I can file. I'm not just the client city. I'm an attorney that can take action. And so in doing that, I think the expenditures on that is already down. Now, if we engage environmental services and this actually picks up, you may hear me singing a different tune when I come back because that's not too cheap. But I'd rather spend the money, if it's all going to have to be spent, I'd rather spend it on that, which has a potential payoff at the end, rather than just the ongoing litigation stuff. I'm a litigation attorney to start with, so I have no problem engaging with our co-counsel to figure out which things I can do or which things my office can handle in an effort to keep the bill down. And then ultimately, if, let's say, all those cases were still covered by insurance, well, the premium doesn't go up because we're overshooting what they've allotted for their counsel as well. So I think it's a win across the board.
My last question, you and I have been talking about the Fair Rent Commission because
yes,
I've been sitting as a liaison there, and their hearings desperately need a stenographer for that. I think it's inappropriate for their internal administrative secretary, who is a board member, to take those minutes and create that record. I don't think it's fair to that person. Have we been able to look into what the cost of that is?
Yeah, Connecticut stenographers, roughly $250 each time they show up. So Fair Rent Commission meets once a month. That's $3,000. If you need to order a transcript, you got to pay per page. $1 a page, $1.50 a page. If it's a rush transcript, they can get you for $6 or $7 a page. Right? It's all worth it because you need it. What you don't realize about records is that they need to be airtight, and you don't find out that yours isn't until it's too late. I told you Attorney Taylor was successful in defending the city and the Fair Rent Commission decision on appeal. Part of that appellate process is the court says, okay, well, you've got the record, print it up for us. So we went through the process that you were talking about, submitted it to the court, and the court said, well, come on, that's not really a transcript, right? Somebody transcribed it, but that's not what we're talking about. So we had to go back and tighten it up. So I think rather than just the abstract and you being worried about it each time, that's a good touch point to say in the concrete, yeah, we should get dedicated professional third-party stenographer court reporting services for that. I hope that it never gets appealed again, but like I said, I think business will pick up, and the likelihood is that it will be appealed. You've heard about the appeals the challenges brought against other cities and the municipalities, their Fair Rent Commissions. Decisions pending at the Supreme Court right now. If that were to happen, I don't know that we would have to hire outside counsel, maybe, but either way, we would be tasked with figuring out what our record was before we even got there. So having that airtight and clean each time, even if it's just some of the parties say, can I have a copy of that? We would want it to be consistent and want it to be as professional as possible. And so I think that that's a small price to pay to make sure that the records at the Fair Rent Commission are always clean.
And I believe that Chairman Mullen said that he's averaging somewhere between 2 and 3 hearings. Is it a month or a meeting?
Well, those are the same right now.
No, they meet twice a month. Usually.
Yeah, I think they've got 2 or 3 cases a month that they're having.
Okay.
But that, I think that's going to go up.
So that's about. So is it $200 per case? Do you think that the stenographer?
No, it's usually $250 per appearance.
Okay.
So to speak.
Okay, so we're looking at maybe, $600, $1,000 max.
Something like that.
Okay. I imagine that you probably have that within your department's budget that you can move around without us having to do a lot of work.
I think we can find it if we had to. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other questions for Attorney Cassini? Thank you very much, Attorney Cassini. We really appreciate you being here tonight.
I'll see you all soon.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have our tax assessor.
Page 62 for the council.
Thank you, Councilman. Whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Christy Gargiulo, the Deputy Assessor. Anne Marie is away at conference this week, so I'm filling in for her. She did email you guys a little late for her goals and accomplishments. If you didn't get it, I'm going to go over just a few of them. So for some of our accomplishments, we successfully digitalized field cards for the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 2000 revals. So we could preserve all of our historical property cards, and we're in the middle of working to get it available to the public so that they don't have to come into our office to get them. They could see them from online, from home. They don't have to come in. It also helps title searchers and city clerk. We have the motor vehicle compliance program for out of town, out of state, and unregistered motor vehicles that we discovered. I believe it was just $800,000 that was collected due to this and the boot program together. And we are starting personal property audits. So personal property audits are for all the businesses in West Haven that have assessments over $35,000. There's a company, and they randomly select through a digitalizer so many people out of everybody who had 35,000, over 35,000, and they will audit them. They give them time. They send them a letter. They give them time to get 3 years worth of documentation, their tax returns, and it could be, it's very beneficial for the city the majority of the time. There are some people that over-report, so, there could be where they're paying too much, but the majority is they're under-reporting. We also implemented a program that does the building permit imports for us directly from the building department. So it goes into our GIS system, our vision system, and all of the permits are automatically put into the field cards, which is a big step. It helps tremendously for us to find big projects that are being done from the building department, so we could go out and value those new houses, additions people are putting on, decks, things like that. We also completed field inspections related to the building permits. We discovered work being done without permits, and it's important for us to ensure our accurate assessment records and maintain equitable assessments for all taxpayers. And we also implemented the new local options for veterans this year. That will be coming out for the bills in July. So there was 3 local options and 1 state mandated for the 100% veterans. And we are also assisting with landlord, the landlord residence program, or it's an ordinance that was passed, and any landlords need to provide their residential address, phone numbers, all contact information in order to, if there's blight, if there's vandalism, if there's a fire, for city officials only to be able to contact them in case of something like that, because a lot of them are just LLCs and they don't give us addresses and no one can contact them. So there's also a fee associated with that in an application. Some of our goals, we are still continuing to digitalize our field cards. We do have 1920s field cards that are starting to fall apart, so that's a big thing for us that we need to get those preserved, and because they're irreplaceable. We're continuing to work with the motor vehicle compliance, the CTR company, to get more out of state and unregistered motor vehicles. We're continuing annual business personal property audits. We're increasing utilization of GIS and AI, which really helps a lot these days. There's a lot of digital imagery and a lot of tools that help us in our streamline our inspections. We are, and we're continuing to provide for professional education and training opportunities for staff because we have a lot of legislative changes, valuation methodology changes, and so do the assessment standards. So there's we need to keep up on our education, and you need it for certification as well. So if you have questions about the budget, I could.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
You're welcome.
I had a question about other professional services.
Yep.
I see that's down by almost 12%. Can you tell me what those services are?
So there was a professional service for personal property that we got rid of. We were using for people who don't report. So anybody who doesn't file their personal property, we have to, by law, think of we have to know what your business does. So because you could find most of this stuff online, what most businesses have, we didn't need this service anymore. So
Okay.
we got rid of that subscription because the majority of everything is now free online.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Beaton?
Good evening. How are you?
Hi, good. How
Just
are
want
you?
to thank you for the opportunity. When I've called you, you've been very attentive and very knowledgeable and articulate.
Thank you.
You just alluded to training and education that is needed for your department, but there's nothing budgeted for you guys.
The training and education now comes out of the general fund, so it got taken out of the convention and dues, and the training and education are now come out of a different fund, so that's why it's
Thank you.
zeroed out. You're welcome.
Councilwoman Tucker.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for your presentation.
Sure.
Can you just describe a little bit more? You talked about AI and using AI to do some of the work that your office does.
Mhm.
Could you talk a little bit about what that looks like?
So there's when new houses are built, just a lot of the houses, everything that goes up online is all like AI generated. So we are able to go ahead and see like what people are, how they're putting up a home before it's even done, because they're just digitalizing everything with AI. So it makes it easier for us to value. We also can pull up for a business. So like if I need to know what a restaurant has in their business, what they use to run a restaurant for, 150 people, it's going to pull up a list for me. So I don't have to pay for a service anymore. It's going to give me all that information of what a typical restaurant for 150 people would have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Callahan.
Thank you. And I'd like to bounce off what Councilman Tucker has talked about AI. First, thank you. I think your department's fantastic.
Thank you.
And you, Anne Marie, everybody, you go above and beyond, especially with tracking the out-of-state plates and all that. That's huge. That's a big, big thing. And it's helping too with parking.
Yes.
So that being said, but thank you again. Great
Thank you.
presentation. The AI, and it's so funny, I was at a seminar today. I don't know if you can answer this question, what AI engine you use and how secure it is.
There's a few of them. There is, we do have one that's built into our Microsoft 365. So it's part of our actual program. So that is secure because it's Microsoft
Copilot.
Yeah, the Copilot.
That's great.
We also use ChatGPT. There's some other ones. I don't really know. Like,
I know it's hard to answer that
it's
question.
hard, yeah.
I learned a lot today too myself. It just, all of us in every department going forward with the AI, and a lot of us have more sensitive information than others.
Yeah.
I think going forward, all of us have to do our due diligence with really finding out which ones are most secure, because I saw the platforms today, and it's amazing to see. So if you like look up, like, say, ChatGPT,
Yeah.
or Gemini, there's about 4 top ones, but I think a lot of us just jump on it and not realize what they actually can get access to once we jump on that engine. I did realize something today with the glasses, that the new thing with the video and everything, you can do everything with these glasses, but the glasses can also pick up 4 pages in front of me, and I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
So it's really interesting. So I think all of us really just have to be a little bit more going forward, because we're all using the AI. Just to
Yeah,
go,
it's more
security.
informational than us putting any kind of like paperwork or anything to sensitive
I think about it,
information.
yeah.
It's more of questions that it helps with,
Mhm.
and just the appraising part of everything. And there's more classes coming up, because AI is getting so big, and there's so many companies that are now putting this into their programming.
Mhm.
So as it gets, more and more for per field of what you're going to use it for, we'll find out more.
Right. Plus, your department, and most of it's public, on the
Yes.
public record anyway. But I think it's wonderful, and I think if we all don't jump on the wagon, we're going to be left behind
Yeah.
with the AI. So, but thank you. That's great information. I appreciate it.
No
All
problem.
set. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hi.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Again, reiterate, every time I've gone to your department, you've been very helpful. If we couldn't find an answer, somebody from there got back to me with an answer. So I thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
No questions about your budget. I do have a response for Councilman Beaton and the others on the council. You'll see throughout this contract, this budget, a lot of departments, Ron, I think we can remember this, with the convention dues and education are bottom lined out, because now everything went to the general fund. It's easier for the city to track that. So you'll see that a lot within I know it's not part of this, but I just want to bring everybody up to date. But thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilman. Councilman McMillan.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm just looking at the job titles here, and of 7, there are 7 listed here, and I did notice that 2 of the I believe it's your assessment auditor and your assessment data entry specialist. Are they not part of a union? Because I don't see anything as it relates to contract or percentage raises.
So
there.
this one, actually, there's just the titles got mixed up on this one. So the assessment auditor is actually the 1103 management union.
Oh,
That,
okay.
So that is the one that's supposed to have the money amount is correct, but they switched the 2 jobs. So assistant to the assessor
Okay.
is should be on the line that assessment auditor is on.
Okay, so it's just a swap. So go back to my original question. So is there no? I'm just curious.
So the
with your-
681 union, their contract is
They're still
up
ratifying
now.
their contract.
Right?
Gotcha.
So they
Okay.
don't have contracted obligation as of yet.
Got it. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilman Quagliani.
Thank you, Chairwoman. You had spoke about your records, and
Yes.
the older records are starting to deteriorate. What account do you utilize to digitize your records?
There was a grant that was through the building department, and we were utilizing that grant that they had. I'm not quite sure now where, because I think that's kind of running out. So after that's over, I'm not sure where we're going to find anything to digitalize that. But they're very delicate, the 1920s cards, so we can't let anybody back anymore. We have to get them for them if they need them, because as soon as you touch them, they're falling apart.
Sorry. So part of the building permit fees now include a digitization fee, which stays within the building department, and any building record gets digitized with that money. So we're gonna I think there's about 1.7 million in that fund dedicated just for digitization of building, tax assessment, things like that. So
there's a process internally.
correct. That when you pull a permit, there's a fee that it's a state fee. It's not just a city fee. It's you pay that fee so we can digitize those records.
And the assessor will draw from that account?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I know that last year walking around, there was several constituents that were very much interested in the new Connecticut law that passed, that this body approved as one of our first actions back in when we started our term, was a disabled veterans tax waiver, 100%, I believe. Is that been implemented?
So the 100% was state statute, so anybody 100% was automatic. We adopted the veterans who are getting paid at the 100% rate, but are not considered 100% service connected, but they're unemployable.
Right.
So due to whatever their problem is, they're not allowed to work, so they get paid out at the 100% rate. So we took on those people. We had one gold star person that I know of, which is her husband died in action. And she is getting it. And we have, and we're doing one more. I'm drawing a blank. What is it? So the veterans, we have the 100%, the ARC, the APA, the one gold star. Okay, yeah. Oh, and the land. That was.
Oh, right, and the land,
so
right.
the land we
Right.
adopted because the state statute is only says you have to do the dwelling, and we adopted the land with it, so they will only pay sewer.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the implementation. Again, it was something that was, I think, important to a lot of us, if not all of us. So I'm happy that we were able to do that, and even happier that you were able to implement it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Vargo?
Thank you. I don't know if this is a question for you or perhaps Rick, but in the 5-year capital plan, we allocating bonding money for digitization. Is that also going to help supplement? Because I know that we have to prioritize, what departments we're digitizing, can't just do all of them at once. But it sounds like that might be a bit of a priority problem to make sure that those records are preserved. Can some of that money be used to offset those costs?
We've got money for the assessment and building. We've got the money there already. So we are now finishing up engineering. Engineering should be done within the next month or so, tops. And then we're going to move on, because the plan was to move to building, but we have this other money in building, so we don't need to help digitizing theirs. So next we're moving to finance after that. And then Jermaine and I and the mayor and David have meetings with the digitization company to kind of qualify which department should go next. So finance has been identified as next, and probably after that will be public works.
Great. I'm thrilled to hear about
Yeah.
Engineering.
Yeah, it's about, yes, yeah, me too.
My last question is, we're bonding a set amount every year for reassessment. Just want to make sure that since I believe that last year was
For the reval, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, for
Yeah.
the reval, and it was 1 year early than anticipated. So are the amount that we're bonding every year, are we still tracking okay with that, or do we need to have some adjustments there since we went a year early?
No, well, we went a year early, but we're still going to be on a 5-year. So we will go another 5 years now. So that's our plan, is 5 years. I mean, we'll see year 4 if we knock 1 year off of that bonding. I'm not sure, but
okay.
Right now we're tracking.
But now it's not the time to look at that. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other questions? We thank you very much for your presentation and for being here tonight.
Thank you.
You're very
Good
welcome.
night, everyone.
Up next, we have our tax collector, tax manager.
Page 64.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, so we billed over 67,000 tax bills this year, and the tax dollars were over 156 million dollars. We've collected about 151 almost million so far. We are down about 5 million. It's coming in fast. We've collected 3 million in the last couple weeks with our notices that we sent out. We did do that through our department because it was just for a quarterly installment billing. It's not really possible to do it when it's a half a year billing because there's a lot more of them, but we wanted to absorb some of the cost because we're already over budget and it's so expensive to do a mailing. So we were able to absorb some of that cost into money that we had in the office, and the staff really got together and got those out very well. And we've been going through any return mail, which is helping drastically get notifications out to people quickly. The office is working on the lien assignment that is going to be occurring next month, and we're going to be placing liens in next week, or the end of this week, the 22nd. The liens go on the land records. Usually they go on April 1st. So because of the quarterly installments, we're behind this year, which is also why we're behind in our collections. The boot program and the CTR bills are bringing in additional revenue, especially the boot program. We're trending up on our collections for motor vehicle this year for the first time in 3 years because people see the boot and they are like, okay, I'm going to pay now instead of waiting till I have to register my car. Now that they changed to a 3-year reg, it's always a really hard thing to get them to pay the car taxes. Other than that, we had a very long time employee retire this past January. She'd been here 53 years, I want to say. Pat Howard retired, and while we miss her, she is, was happy not to work the winter, and she said she didn't know how she would have gotten here. So all in all, I think that the office is doing a really good job. We get a lot of good feedback about the fact that every call in my office, if not answered, gets returned, and we are very open with the public. I heard Kevin reference the 1983 law, which is that you have to treat everyone equally. And I preach that to my staff, that every single taxpayer is the same no matter what. You have to treat them equally. And they need to know that that's federal law 1983 exists and what it means. Because it's important for people to know that we are all equal no matter what our standings are. So other than that, I don't have a lot of big changes on my budget this year. My big one is that I want a part-time employee to take up the shortage, basically, from losing Pat. We need someone to cover our window, to cover our lunches, because during lunch, we can be down to one staff member at the window. And where we used to have 4 people at the window, now the one that took on the rest of the role can't, because it's an auditing issue. She can't have access to the bank accounts and the cash that's being logged into the system. So now we definitely need a 4th person, but only on a part-time 19-hour position. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you so much, Rachel. For advertising, it looks like the department's request was 7,000.
I think that was a typo. And I don't think it happened on my initial when I sent it. It could have happened when I sent it up, but I think that was a typo.
Okay.
It was the 3,000 looks right. They may have had 5,000 in there because when we were tracking on 4 installments, it was running way up.
Okay.
It would have been probably closer to 6.
Perfect. Yeah, I was looking at the near 37%, and I just wanted to know why.
Yeah.
So thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Councilman Beaton?
Good evening. Just a quick question about mailing your tax bills. Is that just the cost increase that's to send these bills out?
That's the to generate the bills, to get all the stuff for it. But yes, and the mailing, It's almost $1 to mail a letter now. It's insane. And they don't even get them. They come back to us. It's so bad. But they do. They get most of their tax bills. I shouldn't say that they don't get them. Most of them. But we do end up having to mail them back out. We have to look up, in our company, part of the processing and mailing, part of what they do is if there's a postal forward address, they send the bill to the updated address. And they provide us a spreadsheet of those addresses from the post office. So we can have record of it.
Is there an option for a resident to do it online, or do you have to mandate it to mail it to each resident?
So we don't have the ability to send them the electronic one. Currently, everybody gets mailing. I believe they were updating the statute so that people can opt into getting it electronically. But right now it says that we have to mail it.
Councilman Quagliani.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So, Rachel, you're asking for a part-time revenue collector, but it looks like you're down a position, right? Going into 2027, is there a full-time position that's not being filled?
Pat's position.
Tax analyst?
The tax analyst too.
Right.
Yeah, she was working 25 hours. She was brought down on her hours over the years, over the last, 10 years or something like that. And as she was dropping in her hours and her time, the other person that is the tax analyst too, was absorbing those. And a few years ago, the council approved the higher position for that employee. So we already had that position covered. We don't need to fill that position. I need someone at my window to take care of the taxpayers.
So there's a net savings then.
Yes.
And you'll be able to continue to do the work.
Absolutely.
With that structure.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Councilwoman Garthwaite.
Hi, how are you?
Well, and yourself?
Good, thanks. Councilman Beaton got my question, and I'd love to see it done on email. And I also want to say special thanks to you for always helping me, walking me through how to pay my sewer, like at the bottom of the page. I can never find that link, so thank you. I really appreciate you. You're the best.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman McMillan.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm well.
I'm just checking on the senior revenue collector. Is that there's 3 positions there?
Yes, those are our current staff that are at the window.
Okay, and I guess if you divide what the 159,762, that's like what 53, 2, something like that.
One of them isn't on his top step, so.
Okay, because that was
yeah.
going to be my next question. Like, why is the amount for the 26 $3? Well, it went from 159.
He said it's rounding.
It's rounding, which means what?
That's the increase. There's no change. That's just showing what the increase over a year. That $3 is just the net change from this year to what we shored up the contracts from 26. So you're just
okay, because I see 159,759, then it jumps up to $3. So I'm just wondering.
Everybody's
got a $3 raise. Is what you're saying?
Everybody got a $1 raise.
A $1 raise.
Not a dollar. It's just.
It's because the wages, if they have like extra decimal points.
It's just Excel. No, it's just Excel rounding up.
Okay, rounded up. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Callahan.
I know. Thank you very much, Chairwoman. Hi, thank you. I know you guys work super hard with all the taxes. I should know the answer to this. I don't remember. Are we going into the next tax season with the quarterly payments or half?
Twice a year.
So we'll go back to twice.
Yes.
Okay. Just curious. Wanted to find that out. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All set. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? Chairman Vargo.
Thank you, Rachel. I have a couple questions on the revenue side of your department. That's on page 8 of our budget.
Rick, I don't have that with me. I mean, I have this part of mine, but. Thank you. Okay.
Just starting at the top, I saw that I'm assuming that you put in the FY27 department request, the third from the last column.
I do not.
Oh, that's.
I think they calculate it based off of the levy, which is coming from the list, which is coming from the assessor's office, and
Okay.
they do that. Those amounts are based on whatever the mill rate is planned out to. David can speak more to that.
So the tax levies are a function of the expenditures versus the other revenues that we get in. It's really the last thing we figure out, and that happens in the finance department.
Okay.
And you can see the workings on that on the mill rate pages, which are, I have it tabbed, pages 22 and 23.
22 and 23.
Yeah, and that's just like I said, it's a function of the expenditures that we're suggesting for next year versus the revenues that we're suggesting from other sources, the state, fines, fees.
So you take the expenses minus the other revenues. The difference is going to be the taxes.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. And don't go anywhere.
It really doesn't request that.
My final question is towards the middle of the page, the tax levy prior years. I see that we tend to track pretty significantly higher than what we're budgeting for. Is there an opportunity to maybe increase that revenue line item to offset some of to the tax levy because we're tracking so high in the last few years, or are we seeing that the total amounts are trickling down?
It's a bit of a peak of the hill type thing. If you probably didn't follow that. And sorry.
Are we going over a cliff? Is that what
yeah?
you're saying?
We see it tracking, but then we have less prior years things to collect. So we're always trying to kind of hit that as close as we can when we budget.
So under promise and over perform. That's what you're looking.
Well, we'd love to not overperform too much, because we'd rather collect it on the first line on this page. But we just have to be careful about that we're not so reliant on that, because we've done a really good job of getting the past due monies in. So
great. Thank you, Chair.
You're very welcome. Any other questions for Rachel? Of course, Councilman Ronan.
Good evening. What's the percentage of taxes that we collect?
So far, 90 as to date, or in general?
Historically.
98.3.4.
Okay. And then each percentage is probably worth about 15 million, 16 million. You said we collected 157,
this year
159.
I'm up to 157.
Okay.
I think
All
so
right.
far.
Okay, so about 16 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions for Rachel? Thank you, Rachel, so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here tonight.
I appreciate you all. Have a great night.
You as
Thank
well. Next is Registrar of Voters, but I'm going to have Mr. Rick Spryer come up. He has a couple of things he needs to say.
Just a quick housekeeping thing. On page 43, under Registrar of Voters, you're going to see the grants administration operating expenses in there. Those do not belong in the Registrar of Voters, obviously. So you can just, that last block of numbers under grants administration, we'll hear from them on Thursday. And also, Registrar of Voters is a much different animal department in City Hall. We have the Deputy Registrar of Voters, the Democratic Registrar of Voters and the Republican Registrar of Voters, and both registrars submit a budget. We were lucky enough this year that their budgets were almost identical. We did ask for a couple of reductions, and there was some variances after the reduction requests. We The mayor and David and I and Anthony as a team kind of tried to split the difference between the requests. But I think this is a pretty straightforward department. I think the only increase you'll see in here is regular wages for the registrars both. So that's the only requested increase that I can talk about. So, but after that, I just wanted to make sure you knew that the grants department did not go into that department budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spryer. All right, so Register of Voters is up. We have Sherry Lepper.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. As one of the registrars, my responsibility is to ensure our office is adequately staffed and operating in compliance with state requirements, especially with election activity approaching. Our office budget request is based on maintaining continuity of operations, meeting statutory obligations, and making sure we are all prepared to serve the voters. I do have an operational concern affecting our office as we approach election activity. There's already been a guidance issue regarding the eligibility of an assistant serving in our office who no longer resides in West Haven and is no longer an elector at the municipality. At this point, I don't see anything that is being done on the other side, and I'm thinking it's going to affect my office when it comes to election time.
I disagree with this. She is referring to my administrative assistant, Veronica Rivas, who has been at office over 10 years, longer than Sherry has served. Sherry brought this up at the last budget. The titles should not have been changed. They're administrative assistants. Veronica Rivas and the Democrat. So I don't know what you're making a big deal out of that for.
Because it's a statue.
It's not a statue.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm going to put a stop to this. I'm going to call this to order. I just have two very simple questions because I don't want to go down this road again because the city council last year spent about 6 months trying to deal with this. Ms. Caligari, did you receive the letter from Corporation Counsel's office that this council dictated regarding what Ms. Rivas can do? Can you please turn your mic on?
I don't recall.
You don't recall receiving...
Last year? You're talking about last year?
Last year. You don't recall receiving an official letter from the Corporation Counsel's office directed... With me? No, I do not.
Okay.
Is Ms. Rivas performing any functions, any job duties that is required to be performed by somebody that lives in the city of West Haven?
That is required to be performed by anyone in the city of West Haven?
Correct.
All right, so you are attacking her residence?
No, I'm asking you a question, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
Because this has been brought up, and this is not a city council issue. But it's becoming an issue again for the second time because we are quibbling over the job title. And unfortunately, it's important because we need to make sure that job titles track what individuals do.
Yeah.
And the issue that we have that was brought to our attention last year is that this employee was performing work that under Connecticut statute has to be performed by somebody that is an elector of the municipality that they're working in.
I understand.
And my question is that person doing that work?
My statement to you is that it should not have been changed, okay? Administrative assistant, and that's what they were. You can't just pick a title like Sherry did, okay? And that's it, guys.
Okay.
That office is run smoothly because of Veronica Rivas.
I'd like to... Yes, I'd like to...
Yeah, okay.
We're going to move on from this. The city council can deal with this later. Yep.
Sherry, you can go ahead with the budget.
Okay. So, like I said, that I have probably a Democratic primary coming up in August. At the time, I thought maybe we would have two primaries. I don't know if there's a Republican primary in August, but we're state statute. We're obligated to dish out money for elections.
And I believe there will be a Republican primary in August for the office of governor. Seems that everybody wants to be the governor.
All right, so for the council, does anyone have any questions for Sherry? Councilman Beaton.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I just have a question about equipment and repair. There's a $12,000 increase. Is that just for rental of?
So we got the new tabulators, and we used to have LHS as a maintenance thing, and it was $6,500. The state got us new tabulators and doubled the maintenance, so I had to quickly adjust the budget, and I have the receipt for it to show.
Councilwoman Tucker, and then I'll go to you, Councilman.
Hi. Good, how are you? Can you describe what temporary payroll is used for?
Poll workers.
Temporary
poll workers?
payroll is for the poll workers for the general election.
Okay. And I see that is going down, right? There's a decrease in that amount?
I think we decreased it because now we have early voting.
Okay.
So now we have two budgets because everything was all rolled into temporary.
Okay.
For the general elections, the poll workers.
Okay, so nothing's gonna be, there wouldn't be a need for it to stay flat because you now have 14 days before the election where people can vote in person?
So we have our own line item. So for all those poll workers, we put it under temporary payroll for early voting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman McMillan.
Good evening.
Oh, I see.
Oh, sorry. Just a quick question. I'm looking at your convention and dues, training and education, and wondering why isn't that being rolled out of the general fund like the other departments?
We come under the state statutes, under SOTS, and they train us. And we have to pay them. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm just curious. Would that be the case? Would like all the other departments? I thought we last year had put all the training, conventions, dues, and what have you into the general fund, and they would all go and get those particular. You did, but then last year, sir, please.
Yeah, in this department, if you look at last year's budget, it was left there, and the reason is there's no control that the city can put on that. It's statutorily required, and so they're going to that. Consolidating it doesn't really help anybody for these items. So the budget
Okay.
is flat.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions for Sherry? Councilman Ronan.
What does a general election cost?
It can cost like about $25,000 to $30,000.
Just from your office, not the city clerk's office also?
Yeah,
No,
just from our
separate.
office.
So 25?
5 to 30,000 just for that day.
So then if there's a primary, is
Additional.
that combined 25 to 30,000?
Yes.
So if there's just a Democratic primary, we could say another maybe 8 or 10,000.
Half.
But if both parties have primaries, both have a general election, it could be 25, 30,000.
On the same
thank
day.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? Thank you, Sherry. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you being here.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you
You're
so
very
much.
welcome. No, not at this time. We're talking about the budget tonight. Thank you. Up next, we have our finance, which is including our purchasing, contingency, debt service, CMed benefits, and insurance. Dave, did you want to start?
Hello, where would you like to start?
Sorry, Chairwoman. This is going to vary depending
It
on
is.
where we start. So
Yes.
we're looking at anywhere between 52 to 104, depending on what department.
You want to start with the lowest number and go
Sure.
from there?
Whatever you
That
want.
sounds good.
Where are we going?
Sorry.
Page 52. The winner is treasurer. Really not a lot going on there. We've got a elected official who gets paid $9,000. That's pretty much it.
I guess we can keep going, and if we have questions about any of this, we can come back to it. Thank you.
So in the comptroller's department, which is the one that I'm probably the most versed on so far as an individual department, we do have some changes in the staffing. The administrative assistant role is being eliminated, with those duties being absorbed in other areas. And the grants financial analyst is being transferred to the grants department. The mayor felt that, and I agree with her, that we should bolster that department. It's one of our best revenue generators, and she's building a bigger department there with people focused on bringing money into the city. So that's really the big changes to this budget. The other line item that's large is our financial services, and $200,000 of the $345,000 is for our annual audit. And then we do have expenses, including actuarial expenses, and we'll talk about actuarially determined computations for contributions for pension, et cetera, as we move through the budget. Any questions?
Any questions on this part of the budget for comptroller personnel detail? Chairman Varga?
Thank you. Dave, on the financial services, we're tracking, reasonably close to double what the budget is. Is there an outlier in the last couple of years?
Sorry, I'm trying to remember. I do know that our budgets have grown. Our budget for audit seems to go up every year. In fact, we're going to be over 200 for next year. That is going to be a challenge for us next year. We have had a few more actuarial issues where we've started working on the OPEB, and so that has increased. As you know, we started contributing to our other post-employment benefits, and so we have to pay for that. I'm trying to remember the other services are financial services. There's really, it's hard to point to some things, but I do remember, and I'm sorry, when I spoke to you last year, there were a couple of items that we're going to stop doing, and that did help us bring the number down.
Okay, so at the moment you're comfortable with this figure, even given the last couple of years of what our actual spends are.
I'm cautiously comfortable with
okay.
that number.
And then you've answered this question, but just for the benefit of the council, I know that the city is looking to hire a permanent finance director.
Yes.
We're comfortable with that. The salary does not need to be adjusted at all in order to entice somebody that's qualified.
The hardest thing is finding somebody who's qualified. Not the I don't believe that the salary is too low.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? We can keep going.
Okay, I should say the hardest thing about finding is somebody who's qualified that doesn't already work for one of the other 168 municipalities in our state. On purchasing, the big change here is that the procurement specialist is one of the roles that we identified that we wanted to move over to the grants department. As I was just speaking about that a moment ago. So I don't know if there's any questions on this department.
Any questions regarding purchasing? Nope, we can keep going.
Can we skip through? I don't think IT's really
that's separate.
worth talking about. What's the next one?
We have
Gary?
debt service, contingency, benefits and insurance.
I'll find it for you. No, that's the summary. I'll find it for you guys. Let's go to 104. And this is city insurance. Debt service will be a page or two later. General liability insurance, that's the stuff that keeps us out of trouble for general liabilities. Attorney Cassini could speak a little bit more to the details there, but any liabilities that the city incurs in its streets, sidewalks, etc., would be covered here. And I will just to front end the insurance discussion. All of our brokers are actively working to source our insurance for next year. We're pretty far down the road with them. And I'm also happy to say that over the last year, we've rebid out all of our brokers. So we have a new set of brokers with a new set of contract. One contract is still pending some language, but we have a new set of brokers with new contracts, and we haven't been able to say that in a long time. So it's really a move in the right direction. Physical auto damage, we did have like one or two single instances that cost us a lot of money back in 2025, and so you're seeing a reduction in the average is high, but we believe that we've gotten back more to normal times in 26 and 27. We're projecting more of a normal rate of costs there, mostly being the cost of the insurance itself. So that's page 104.
Any questions regarding Chairman Virgo?
Thank you. Under the separation pay, under employee benefits, is that a new line item for FY26?
That's page 105. And
sorry.
No, it's not. We did budget 91,020. Well, I'm sorry. You said 26. It's not a new line item. This is where we do separation pay for our police officers. If we don't have a lot of payouts, we don't charge the account. It's an after it's paid sort of transfer. Sometimes we might not notice that we paid them out, and so then the payout would hit the salaries line in the police department. What we try to do is take that noise out of the police department. It's a huge budget. There's already a lot of questions about it, and so we try to keep that as pure as we can. We did have a retirement this year, and so you can see that in 2026 we've hit it.
Okay.
So it's just if we have people leaving, and as you know, we do have some people that have submitted their drop.
And just keeping on that page, the two pension line items.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, we track higher than what we're budgeting for. What are we seeing going forward that we're able to see that savings?
Yeah. So a couple things. Well, first of all, that dollar amount is calculated by our actuary. The thing that's driving it down is that now that we have allowed the younger officers and new officers, as we hire them, to be part of the pension plan, we have a younger audience or a younger family of members in the pension plan. Now that we have that, we are able to amortize the contribution to get caught up over 20 years instead of 12. And that was a big help, and one of the final things we did in budgeting over the last several months.
Thank you.
Would the 401k buy-in be part of that as well for that pension for the new officers?
The 401k buy-in is part of the calculation.
Okay.
In that it raised up the value of
Right.
the monies that are there, but just remember we added all those people as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Also, long-term disability premium, is that part of the new officers' pension plan? Is that going to be part of that, or is that separate?
The long-term disability, that is more than the officers, but yes, the officers would be part of that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Councilman Beaton?
So we are following the ARC for the pensions.
ADAC, yes.
Yeah. Do you know what that is at this time?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what it is?
The number in here is
Percentage.
I'm sorry, I do not off the top of my head. If we could pull the audit from last year, it'd be prominent in there.
Any other? I'm sorry.
Mr. Quagliani, was it? You might remember. I don't know if maybe you remember the number. It seems
the percentage that's funded?
It's 70.
It's higher, a little higher than that. It's like 80, 85, 88.
Okay.
Something like that.
71 might be the Allentown one or something else.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other questions? All right, we can keep going.
All right. So on 105, you didn't ask it, but I just want to tell you, we did get our state partnership plan and Anthem, Zenith/Anthem rates. And while you only see a 4% and a 10% increase, the difference from this year projection to the budget for next year really reflected an 11% increase year over year. I mean, this is the correct number for that column, but it's an 11% year over increase for the active employees and a 12% increase for the retirees, which I think is important for you to know.
Appreciate that.
No problem. We okay with 105?
Yes. Everyone
Debt
okay
service.
with 105? Okay. All right.
First of all, those numbers on the top line don't mean anything. Sorry about that. 106. Sorry. Okay. With debt service, this includes the funding of all the projects that we have on our list. You see it going down. A big part of that reason for it going down and for us having a favorable variance in the current year is that we've pushed our funding out. We're not going to market. We did not go to market last month with these bonds, which we would have done March, April timeframe. We are pushing it to the end of June. And so that does help us this year, and it helps us next year because our first payment against the new debt won't be until fiscal 28. So that's why you're seeing the change that you're seeing. There is a rather long list and maybe frightening list of projects for if you look out 5 years for capital projects. Fortunately, a lot of this debt does fall off quickly because we do set up the debt for, we have tranches of 5-year loans, 5-year notes, 10-year notes, 15-year notes, 40-year notes. And so if you think about all the vehicles that we need to purchase, and most of the things that we purchase have a shorter estimated life, so those notes are shorter. That's falling off. I think we have 2, maybe 3 years left on the deficit bond. So you'll see that line will go away. And that'll be $1.7 million that we no longer have to shell out. So any questions?
Any questions? Councilman Quagliani?
David, is there, how many rating calls do we expect this year?
I expect we'll do 2, one with Standard & Poor's and one with Moody's.
All right, and then obviously, they recognize that we're still got momentum, and then they potentially may look favorably, which would kind of adjust the cost of the coupon, right?
I've discussed this with, and this is all conjecture, but he does not believe there's anything in the financial statements that we believe we'll be issuing before the end of this month that would adversely affect our ratings.
Good. And whatever we bond in 26, we don't start paying until 27.
Correct. Well, actually 28 because we're not going to bond until the last day of June.
Right. 28. Okay. All right, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? All right, we can move on to...
Where are we, Gary?
Contingency 108.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Gary.
Everybody's favorite. The biggest line item there is, excuse me, let me say that in English. The biggest line item on there is the OPEB trust, $1 million. Again, using the actuarially defined contribution for that. That would be what we would put in for next year. As you can see, we've delayed putting it in for this year. There's no year to date. We typically will shift that money over in June. Kind of gives us a little more time to earn some interest on it before we give it away to the to the fund. And if need be, we can make adjustments. So the other line item there that's rather large is the unallocated. This year it's down a lot lower because last year we had a lot of union contracts that were pending. Fortunately, we've been able to settle 3 this year. At least this budget reflects the settlement of 3. I know that you'll be discussing and potentially acting on the police contract in a couple weeks. This budget, and you should know this from out the start, anticipates ratification. And so those changes are built in.
Thank you. Any other questions? Chairman Virgo?
Thank you. Dave, I know that you and I talked about this a little bit, but just for the benefit of the council, I'd like to focus in on the unallocated contingency a little bit because a lot of people look at it as a what if, but I look at it as a just in case. And to me, that's a little bit of a different analysis because, a what if could be, it may or might not, but a just in case is something always happens that we don't anticipate. And it's important that we have money in a rainy day fund to be able to account for those unknowns, but that are inevitably going to happen.
Yes.
And I know that in FY25 there was a rather large unexpected payout that we had to cover through our fund balance, and by someone's grace, if we don't have to use the unallocated contingency, it beefs up the fund balance. That's one way to do that.
Correct.
So my 2 questions are: where do you see us ending FY26 with the fund balance? The best you can give me. And 2, is there anything on the horizon that you think that would impact that unallocated contingency number that's over and above, or maybe I should say separate and apart from contract ratifications? So, right, what else is built into that?
Roughly half of that number is the in-case fund that we're talking about. I'm always a little nervous, but I don't think it's too aggressive, if that helps.
Okay.
There are some what ifs, and I'm sure you'll get into them. I already saw questions about snow removal and some other things as you guys have been asking about them. But I think we'll be okay here. One thing we don't have to rely back on after December is ARPA funds for certain projects that have been allocated to the ARPA fund within this, I don't want to say statute, but within the time frame of identifying your projects. That'll go away in January. It's gone. So, there's a little bit of risk in there because that's gone. I don't know what I don't know.
And the last part of my question was where do you see us landing at the end of FY26 with the fund balance?
I think we'll be about 15 million after the 25 audit and with the projection that you have here.
And am I correct that because we do, I don't want to say manage, but part of the budget includes departments that the mayor's office and the executive doesn't have direct control over? Board of Education, library, sewage treatment, Alleyton Fire. Do they have their own contingency funds, or are we looking at the city's contingency as kind of the catch-all for everywhere?
So because I spend all my time focusing on not those things, I really can't speak to whether the Board of Education has a contingency fund. I don't believe so, based on the last couple of years of how that fund has been managed. I do The library is controlled by you because we fund the library based on the appropriation. We don't, there's no, sorry, my grandson does that. There's
my teenagers do that. You've just triggered me.
Sorry.
You say 6, 7, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna lose.
Put me in my pocket. Get my hands in my pocket. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Basically, my question is that, I mean, are we? I obviously don't want to increase the budget. That is absolutely not my goal. But I also want to make sure that we are properly prepared for the what ifs and that may happen. And that doesn't just include what happens, with public works or whatnot. It's a bigger pie.
There are upsides on some of the revenue items. So let's be real. We hope that we'll over deliver, as you said earlier tonight. There are upsides there, and there are downsides on the potential downsides on the expense. Everybody knows in this administration that we are pinching pennies, but not to be pound foolish, but we're being careful with what we spend. We're beefing up the grants department to take as much as we can off of this budget and fund it through those grants. And capital purchases are looked at with scrutiny. Even though we budget it, doesn't mean we necessarily buy it. So, Rick,
Chris, the quick answer to your question is that Allingtown, Sewer, and the city all have unallocated contingency funds built into their budget.
Great.
The Board of Education, we allocate them, appropriate them their money, and they budget their own way. But all three of those other departments have their own unallocated contingency line.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
To help.
Any other questions for Mr. Taylor? Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We really appreciate being here tonight.
No, thank you. I appreciate the time too.
I apologize.
Well, I won't be here every night. Rick will be here. The plan right now is for me to return on public safety night. So, but if you need me, let me know.
Thank you. Other than my microphone acting up tonight, I think it was a pretty successful meeting, and I'm going to kick it back over to our chairman.
Okay, thank you. So, we got a lot done, several departments tonight. So we are back here tomorrow at 6 o'clock, where we will be discussing personnel, human resources, and all of its iterations, and public works with all of its iterations. So that's going to be a big one. Time is 8:15. City Council is in recess.